What's the consequences here for Nick Walsh, who was VAR at the St Mirren game? So he has unilaterally decided to overrule the on-field referee without sending him to a screen to have another look for himself. He has decided to referee that moment, that sort of I don't know if you can even call it a flashpoint between Richard King and Callum Slattery, and he has taken it upon himself to send off a St Mirren player, St Mirren fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table, and he's made up a decision. He's made up an incident that simply did not occur. And worse than that, he's sitting there with a remote control and I don't know how many different camera angles. And he still goes with that. There has to be, I'm afraid there has to be accountability for that. I had high hopes for Nick Walsh. Maybe a bit more than a year ago, I thought he was emerging as one of our top officials. I don't know what's happened to him. And I don't know how he could possibly have arrived. One, the process is wrong. Two, the outcome is wrong. And it's all on him. So what happens there? Can he be
See,
trusted?
even accountability is one thing, and I completely agree. But I would just love to know, how on earth do you arrive at that decision? What is your thought process? I mean, Tam in the comments says absolutely ridiculous. I mean, like you say, he's invented something happening.
He's seen something that wasn't there.
Aye.
And he's convinced himself. And I think for me, you've got to stick with the process. That's what we keep getting told. So surely, in that event, he has to call. Who was the referee at St Mirren? Can't remember who the on-field ref was. But surely, Nick Walsh, the process, the protocol says that if that's what you think you've seen, you've got to call him over and let him take a look for himself. He, after all, is the guy that's in charge of this.
Yeah, exactly.
So Nick Walsh has pulled rank, gone above the referee, and then made a blatantly wrong decision. So wrong that even when the SFA and Willie Collum and the refs are in full defence mode, they can't justify that. They can't vindicate it. They can't even attempt to. So they have to overturn that decision, and it makes a mockery of the whole process at a moment in time when it seems that every week and every big game, and in this particular season when it's coming to the boil like never before, you've got referees making incredibly bad decisions, whether it's in Clydesdale House or on the pitch. And, I go back to that Barry Ferguson piece because he also talks specifically about the Mikey Moore incident at Livingston in late in the game, in added time when Rangers are pushing to try and win that game 3-2. They're pushing for a third goal. And I think his quotes on that are absolutely bang on the money as well, Dan.
He says, forget about whether or not it's a penalty or it wasn't a penalty. How a referee can't see it's a foul in the first place, that's the worrying thing for me. And he says it's just alarming that a referee doesn't think that's a foul. I mean, that's a pretty good point. I mean, how can you look at that and go, nothing to see here, play on?
It's staggering and it's worrying. And kind of, I think the main point about Ferguson's thing is he's trying not to think about how VAR or refereeing decisions might affect Sunday's game at Ibrox between Rangers and Celtic. Because if you waste your time and your nervous energy thinking about somebody throwing one of these into the works, then, I think he's just keeping his fingers crossed, bracing himself and just hoping that this game and potentially the interest of each side trying to claw back hearts and win this title could be decided upon by a decision. And it's too late, by the way, on the following Tuesday or whenever it is, once you've put a fast track appeal together and somebody says, oh, yeah, well, right enough. Sorry, guys. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. It wasn't good enough for St Mirren, for Richard King, and it won't be good enough next week. In fact, you can imagine what the meltdown looks like if there is a major mistake made by the man in the middle, who's John Beaton, or the man sitting behind the TV screen in Clydesdale House, which I believe is Stephen McLean this weekend. But I wouldn't want to be them now as well. That's another thing. The pressure just get ramped up because people are looking at this saying, this cannot be trusted. You guys cannot be trusted. Either one, to make the decisions with your own eyes, or two, and this is the incredible bit, to be sitting watching slow motion replays from who knows how many different angles, and you still get it wrong. That's inexcusable,
No.
and it's really concerning.
And it's bizarre. It's just bizarre. I don't know. You know, you can get things wrong, but though, I mean, just mad. We've got plenty of comments coming in on this already, Keith. It's quite a hot topic. Our pal Kyle says, I was chatting to people today. My opinion is Nick Walsh shouldn't be refereeing for weeks. Craig
There
Marshall.
has to be a repercussion. There has to be something. It has to be a message has to get sent out that that's simply unacceptable.
Aye. Aye, and Paul Brady says Walsh should be made to explain his decision to the press. That'd be good. We'll get him on here. We'll get him on here.
I'd love that.
The Gun Platoon says Walsh's previously decisions, the Diomande sending off. Brian says, I'm not sure the referees nowadays are capable of making any decisions anymore. And a couple of people, Keith, bringing up McKenna says, what are your opinions for the ref on the game on Sunday? Which, of course, is John Beaton for the game at Ibrox.
Good luck to him. Look, John Beaton, and I don't think it's fair that this baggage, you know, and I think people that are, you know, in positions who should know better, who have experience of how volatile this whole thing can be, I don't think the brother Beaton thing is helpful in any way, shape, or form. I've heard it said. I think that John Beaton is in a really unenviable position. That's how we look at it, normal people. I don't think referees do look at it like that. I think they seem to quite like it. They get some sort of weird, I don't know, enjoyment out of the fact. Perhaps they should all just chuck it and go and become traffic wardens. It doesn't seem like normal to me, but he will enjoy it because this is the top honour. If you're an official getting one of these games, that's the sort of the thing that you're looking to do. That's the ambition, to be put in charge of the games that really matter. But you know what? In some senses, you feel as if you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If he makes a decision which is seen as a pro Rangers decision, he's going to get absolutely slaughtered for it. And if he makes a decision that works in Celtic's favour, he's going to have Rangers people saying he's bending over backwards because he's accused of this, that, and the next. It's really unhealthy. We talked about this weeks ago. I did predict at that point that this is exactly where we're heading. This season will drag us out there eventually. These are big decisions. I just hope that they're not the appetizers for the main event this weekend, because there's so much on this game now. And you know what? The referee is going to need help. And that's what VAR is there to provide. The safety blanket. The opportunity to look at something, slow it down, study the angles, get it right. I don't think that's too much to ask for. And I think that John Beaton, there will be a decision, or decisions plural, at some point on Sunday afternoon that he's going to need help. And my concern is, if I'm John Beaton, can I trust these guys? Can I trust these guys to look at a screen, to use the remote controls and come to the right conclusion? Because ultimately, John Beaton's the guy out there carrying the can for it. I think it's a real mess.